Okay, let's continue.
It just doesn't work.
Well, I mean,
You can do that on a personal level, but not you can't import that into this ministry.
We don't. That's the thing. They do the show.
yeah,
We're
but
not.
I haven't, like, I haven't publicly said, like, what I said. I've kept my feelings to you in a letter. Like, I wrote to you.
Y'all have talked to other people. You've talked to other people.
We've only talked to friends.
Close ones that we trust for prayer.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter who you're talking to. You're in disagreement. You do not agree with Doug being her husband, and
He is our husband.
what you're not saying is as damaging as what you're saying, because you didn't read that comment.
I'm not going to fake a personal relationship. It has to happen naturally.
Well, wait, you're telling her what has to happen. No, you
I'm
can't-
telling you
she's the boss.
I'm
She
telling
tells
you
what
my
has to happen.
boundary, and
She
you make your
tells you-
decision from there.
I'm saying.
She's the boss with regard to your scope of work, and your boss cannot ask you to do illegal things in the kingdom. She's your boss with limitations. You have a higher boss, which is God.
He says very simply, if you can't do what she wants, you have to go. It can't be both ways.
I didn't ask it to be both ways.
But
I'm here.
But what you're saying is, you're saying, at Daystar, I'm going to do my job and go home, and I don't want to be told anything other than that. Well, that's not how it works. Your job is to please her. When she has a smile on her face, you did your job. Your job is not to come.
Absolute nonsense. This is disappointing. So he's taking advantage of Jonathan because Jonathan hasn't had, from my understanding, hasn't had that experience. And Jimmy Evans is coming from a place of authority to say, oh, you do what your boss says. No, that's not how it works. Yes, it's good to please your boss, within reason. But your boss doesn't have the authority to ask you to do things outside your scope of work. Your boss can request it. But even further than that, he can make requests that are still within the boundaries of the law. In a worldly organization, the boundaries of the laws of the country. Your boss cannot ask you to commit fraud. Your boss cannot ask you to break the laws of a country. In the same way, Joni and Jimmy do not have the authority to ask Jonathan and Susie to break kingdom laws of being dishonest and approving adultery.
And talk about God and go home. Your job is to come and please the boss and go home. So she's not pleased. She's not happy. So it just can't keep going on like this. It's been too hard. And again, she asked me the other day on the phone, she said, do you think I'm overreacting or being too hard or whatever? And I said, Joni, you have been incredibly gracious with your children through this whole situation, but this has to stop. I've tried to be gracious with you. And all I'm saying is, it's got to stop. It's got to stop right now. This cannot continue for your own good, for your children's good, because you're all torn up about it. And so Daystar Network is going to go forward with her at the helm. And you're either with her or you're not. And when I say with her, I mean 100%. I'm not saying 99%. I'm not saying that you sit and don't talk about Doug or whatever. You've got to talk to Doug. You've got to talk about Doug. You've got to read whatever she wants you to read on the air. And if that's something you can't do, I respect you if you leave, but not if you stay. I want you to stay and submit. But if you can't, it's a simple decision. And she will fire you. I'm just telling you, she will.
I can prepare.
So essentially he's saying, do what I say, even if it's against the kingdom laws. This is a clear abuse of authority.